time now for Coming In Hot with Brent Wallace and former Ottawa Senator Jason York.
Good Tuesday morning to you. It is February 18th. Brent Wallace is not here, unfortunately. I'm filling in. My name is Graeme Nichols, joined, as always, by Jason York. Jason, how are you doing this morning?
I wouldn't say unfortunately, Graeme. You and I got control of the ship here for the next couple of weeks. Where is Wally? Anyway, he's in Thailand, Singapore.
I think he's in Singapore.
Oh yeah. Off on a free vacation, I think. No, it'll be good. We'll have some fun here, Graeme, and looking forward to spending some time with you.
Yeah, it should be good. Should be good. I just want to remind listeners, the show is presented to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Yorkie, big moment last night. Brady Tkachuk goes down early. I think he played a minute 55. How concerned are you? Are you nervous? What are you thinking right now?
I watched that play over a bunch of times last night, Graeme. I rewound it. First of all, I was trying to figure out what was wrong with him. The good thing was he skated off. I really think it's going to be more precautionary. Well, it's good and bad. So if you're Canadian, you probably don't want him playing. So if you want Canada to win this, but obviously from a Sens perspective, you want to make sure he's healthy. And there's a couple of pics of him going. He just went in awkwardly. I originally thought worst case scenario, I'm like, oh shit, he broke his rib. His rib. Playoffs are done. Sens are finished. I told you about this Four Nations, what could happen. But no, I listened to his brother last night. I know his brother. I know Matthew's playing for sure. He went on the TNT broadcast and he said he's looking forward to Thursday. He'll be in. Listen to coaching staff talking about Brady. They think he's going to play. And you need him in. Like, regardless of who you want to win or who you don't want to win, I want to see all hands on deck for both teams. You want everybody playing on both rosters. You want to see it again. I think both teams are excited to get it going again. I just don't know how they do a second showing for after Act 1. What we saw, I don't know how you follow that up, Graeme. Like, we haven't done a show since then. Like, we still have to talk about that the ridiculousness of what happened and how good the start was to that. I just don't know how you follow that up.
But it's like Brady Tkachuk, you could tell how much he wants it. Like, he only played, I believe it was a minute 55 last night, but in those short shifts, he had 3 hits and 3 shots. Like, I don't know if there's a guy on the ice in this tournament who wants it more than Brady Tkachuk right now. It's unbelievable. And that game against Canada, like, what did he finish with, like 6 or 8 hits? Like,
yeah. Well, I'd say this: nobody shows their emotions. Well, maybe if you had a younger Brad Marchand, just certain guys, just you kind of don't have to wonder what they're thinking because you know what he's. I don't know. Did you see him when they had him? There was some stuff online. They had him mic'd up. I don't know if you saw the mic'd up Brady talking to the refs, doing his thing. Seeing the respect factor that the referees and he has, that's good too. Like, I was always a big fan of chatting up the refs, especially I didn't play anywhere near the style Brady played, but that's smart. Getting it's called, because they say you can cut deals with players. It's good to cut deals with the refs too. Because
I thought it was really cool to see that interaction with the referee where they're like, isn't this great? Like, everyone on the ice in that moment was kind of appreciating what was going on, right? Like, it was just it
was good.
The start to that game, it was just probably one of the best ways to market that sport. Like, just
let me ask you this: so is that, you watched hockey for a long time, is that the best start to a game that you've ever seen?
One of them, for sure. One of the most memorable. Off the top of my head, I can't think of a start that would be better than that.
Well, I would say, it's when you go back to that Red Wings Colorado series and how those games started off, the Claude Lemieux, Darren McCarty, and I know not a lot of Sens fans saw that, but most hardcore hockey fans remember that rivalry between Colorado and Detroit, and the fights, when I'd put it kind of in the same echelon as that. Obviously, if you're a Detroit Red Wing fan, you'd say that was number one, but I don't know if you remember that, Graeme, when the goalies went at it. I think Osgood fought and
Vernon fought 1 year against.
Yeah, it was nuts. It's just, And I'm surprised at what's going on, but I'm pleasantly surprised because I wasn't sure what to expect. And I'll admit I was wrong because a lot of people were like, "Hey, watching this series," and I said I wasn't gonna. I just didn't think the players would play at this kind of level, this kind of intensity, just because of everything that's on the line, right? There's so much, because when this is all said and done, when all the players go back to their teams, they gotta, it's business as usual, and you're back and you got to try and win a Stanley Cup. I didn't think they would put it all on the line like they are. Like, it's the intensity level is pretty crazy what they're going at. The one thing I do like though, Graeme, between the whistles, even after the whistles, besides the fights, there's not that much pushing and shoving, not that much bullshit.
Mhm.
It's just, it's pretty honest, hardcore, hard hockey, which is great to watch.
Oh, for sure. I think you need rivalry games, and I think it doesn't get bigger than the US versus Canada. And you need kind of like not organic hatred, but there's kind of got to be that kind of like competitive drive to stick it to the other team. And I think like everything that happened in that Saturday night game was there. It had the recipe for that. And can you replicate that going to the final? I think you can. It looks too bad that like both teams are kind of getting a little banged up. I know Sweden's got a flu going through their lineup, so hopefully that's something that can stay away from the Americans and Canadians. But
maybe the Swedes were breathing on the Americans last game.
maybe, but it's gonna be interesting to see if they can replicate what happened on Saturday night on Thursday. But it should make for entertaining television. Like, millions of people were watching. It's to kind of get that kind of viewership and exposure to such a high profile game is awesome, and hopefully it'll continue to move the needle and grow the game a little bit more down south and across the world, because that's really the ultimate goal here, right?
Well, if you look at the NHL, for sure, like the NHL is ecstatic right now of getting more eyes on the game. Just also too, like, who's watching this right now? It's the casual viewer, the person that maybe is not watching that often. So for sure, yeah, NHL's got to be pumped this is happening. And they do, their TNT broadcast does such a good job. Like, their intermissions, everything is just, they entertain you. Like, it's really good. They found their sweet spot there with that broadcast. Good balance of humor, knowledge. But they're making, coming up here next couple minutes, Graeme, we're going to bring on my old buddy and teammate, Shawn McEachern, and be interesting to get Mac's thoughts, because he played in the 1996 World Cup of Hockey. And remember, the Americans won that time. And both teams, I'm getting to talk to Mac here. We'll talk about those rosters. Like, there were some big names playing in those games. You had Gretzky, Brady's dad, Keith Tkachuk, was playing on the Americans, Jeremy Roenick, Steve Yzerman. So interested to see, because here in Canada, everybody's watching, right? Mm-hmm. You always wonder, like, how big is it in the States right now? So I'm sure Mac will have always has some strong opinions for the show.
Yeah, I know. I got a few texts from buddies who I know don't watch hockey down south, and like they were texting me to say that opening with the fights, like, that's all they talked about. Like, they're not huge hockey fans, but they couldn't get over the fact that like 3 fights open up that game in the first 9 seconds. And you don't necessarily want to market the sport off violence itself, but it can sell. It can absolutely sell, and there's so much talent on the ice, and it's what you want. You want best on best, and I almost wish it was like a best of 5. With the stakes escalating throughout the course of the tournament. But
I'll tell you what, like the Tkachuk Hagel fight, I don't think anybody was getting hurt in that fight, but there were some bombs thrown in the Bennett Brady Tkachuk fight. Sam Bennett is a tough customer, and I think they're kind of friends too. Because you remember when Brady was down there, he was hanging out with Fleur a little bit, and you'd have to think him and Bennett are kind of cut from the same cloth, right? Both play the game hard. But that fight, those guys were throwing for keeps on that one.
For sure. All right. So I'm going to read off the charm promo, if you don't mind. Get that out of the way.
You going to sing?
I'm going to sing. I'll do it. I'll try.
All right. Let's hear it.
All right. Charm Diamond Centers is proudly Canadian owned and operated since 1972 with more than 85 locations across the country through Charm and their sister brands. Get custom ring building delivered in less than 4 weeks with the Charm Masterpiece program and an unbeatable pricing policy. Check out a large selection of Canadian lab-grown diamonds, mined diamonds. Don't pay until 2026. Apply for a Charm Diamond Flexity card today and get approved for no interest financing on your purchase in minutes. For more information, go to charmdiamondcenters.com. Chosen forever, Charm Diamond Centers.
Chosen for everyone.
Beautiful.
Come on, Graeme.
Beautiful. I know.
All right, listen. I know Mac. We got Mac waiting backstage. So before we bring Mac on here, I'll read off one more of our little promos here, so we get this out of the way. Our good friends there at Club EG. Golf's right around the corner, as everybody knows. So for Club EG, it's your best bet for some amazing golf. All kinds of great courses in Ottawa, Graeme. You know, I've got a list of places. There's like hundreds of courses you can play. One membership with Club EG gets you access to 60 amazing courses. Check out the courses online. We're giving away foursomes to some of these great courses: Marshes, Equinol, Associate, Mountain Creek, all kinds of great tracks. Right now, some February early bird specials. And they run a lot of awesome events. They do the Some Scramble, the Ottawa Citizen Club Championship, Commissioners, Ottawa Open, PGA Tour, American events at Eagle Creek, tons of golf league, lots of great golf trips and more. They literally cater to every golfer out there. ClubEG.golf. Check them out. All right, without further ado here, let's bring on friend of the show, Shawn McEachern, live from Boston.
I'm in Michigan, actually, Yorkie.
You on the road?
Yeah, I'm on the road recruiting.
Oh, what is it? Is it reading week right now at Suffolk?
No. We just it's the NAHL top showcase for the end of the year here. The guys are not committed, so I'm out here watching Plymouth, Michigan.
Oh, boys. So give me your recruiting style. Like when you see a kid and you say, okay, I want that kid. Like what do you got to do next? Like, are you like hard sell, soft sell, or you just go down and just like, give me the Shawn McEachern schmooze.
I get his number and send him a text, Yorkie. There's not much to it anymore. There's not a lot of home visits going on. And the guy says, "Yeah, I'm kind of interested." No, they let you off light. You know, you got to figure it out. A lot of not much success sometimes. The success rate is low in recruiting, so you just gotta go get out there and get after it.
What's that old line there from that Tom Cruise movie when he's Jerry Maguire? He's the Lord of the living room. Just kidding.
Yeah, that's not going on for me. That's for sure.
How's the team doing? What's going on there? Playoffs?
Good. We just we got we have 12 wins. You know, doubled the win total from last year. We finished fourth, and we have a home playoff game, so it's huge for us.
That's unbelievable.
Big. Yeah,
this is only you're only in year 3, aren't you?
Yeah, this is your third year, and we play. We have like 4 or 5 upperclassmen in the lineup, all freshmen, sophomores. So it's been going well.
Well, you got to get up here. Check out the CCHL, Mac. There's always some good Ottawa kids looking for a spot.
The problem is I think I've told you before, we don't have international aid, so it's tough to get the Canadian kids. But I have 2 or 3 kids from the NoJo playing for me at Suffolk.
Oh, some good Northern kids. Oh, the Iron. Oh boy, those are. You know what though? You can never go wrong with a good Northern kid because they're not going to whine, and they're not. Usually, the Northern kids' parents aren't going to call you. Like they're tough kids. Like there's no bullshit like some of the kids from Toronto sometimes.
Yeah, the kids I got from up there from Michigan, and they've played very well for us. It's been a lot of fun. Got a couple of kids from the best named team in the league, the Powhassan Voodoos, which I always like to get kids.
Oh, yeah. That's right. That's right. Listen, how closely are you watching the Four Nations? Graeme and I were just talking about this. Is this because in Canada, you played here for the Sens, how big hockey is here. People are loving it. Is it the same kind of level of intensity in the US right now?
Well, I think my circle of people that I'm with, like my kids from my team, we're all talking about it yesterday because, Suffolk's right downtown Boston. So they have the Four Nation guys are over there looking at the Stanley Cup. I know the tickets are going to be hot for Thursday night. That'll be huge. But the games have been great, and I think it's there's a lot of interest in the hockey community in Boston, especially.
Yeah, I was poo-pooing this event before. I'm like, there's no way these guys are going to play hard. It's just 4 teams. It's not really best on best. And then Canada, US, Kachuk's doing their thing. Like I couldn't believe it. Like I can't believe the level of intensity. Are you surprised?
Yeah, I'm shocked. I get, we could have, the Bruins left the alumni tickets to buy, and they were expensive. I didn't bother jumping in on them because I really didn't think it would be that intense. And then watching the games, like last night's game with Sweden, it really doesn't mean anything. And I've never seen Eichel back check like that. Like his speed coming back is insane.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I've watched Jack Eichel when he was at BU and when he was at Buffalo, and I haven't seen him as much with Vegas. But wow, is he a complete player now? Wow, does he play good? I mean, he plays really hard.
Yeah. No, I golfed a little bit with Mark Stone this summer, and he said it's amazing what culture does, right? And you and I played on a bunch of different teams. He just said their culture is so strong in Vegas, and he didn't know what to think when they got him, but when he came in, you just buy in because it's not really the coaches, it's the players. They're the guys. But I agree, man. He is his game right now, like two-way players. He might be one of the best in the world right now.
Yeah, it's like you get a taste of winning the cup there, and he doesn't want to give it up. And I think Cassidy does a great job with those guys. He did a great job in Boston as well. And if you're not playing, I mean, he doesn't put up with any bullshit. He's gonna be gone. So he's bought into the style of play for Vegas. And I mean, to watch him play for the U.S. team and kind of like lead the way it's funny after he get drafted in Buffalo, and he kind of people talking is he going to be a good player? He's going to be the player he should be or not, but he's definitely turned into that player.
Yeah.
Well, Buffalo, they keep getting rid of the best players.
Crazy,
Speaking of culture, I was just doing some digging before the show. Both of you guys were acquired during the '96 offseason by Ottawa.
Big offseason.
Ottawa goes on to make the playoffs, first time ever, and didn't miss for a very, very, very long time. So, was that the best offseason ever, guys?
Mac, was that the best? See, Wally's off in Thailand or something for a couple of weeks, so we've actually got a good guy like Graeme. He's gonna it's gonna be like usually Wally will bust your balls and say some negative story. Totally different now. Those were
still trying to get me back for not answering a question when I was in the locker room in 98 or something. Wally's still getting after me.
I was trying to explain to Graeme like we made a lot of moves like coming in, but they weren't, none of the moves were like huge moves. They were all like little tinkers that they did. And it's tough to explain why things turned around in Ottawa. I don't know. Maybe you got a better reason than I do.
Well, I think Pierre Gauthier and Jacques had a plan, like when you probably remember when we came in, like the media training we had about not talking negatively about the team. Andrea Kirby was the woman's name, I think.
Yeah. NBC.
Yeah, she taught us about don't talk negatively about the team, and the team's not going to talk negatively about you. And I think Jock really promoted the team culture. With Perry Pern and Craig Ramsey, we had the team building, and we had a lot of good guys that maybe they weren't the star players where they came from, but we had a really good group.
I think the key was Graeme. We went away to, I think it was maybe Mont Tremblant or somewhere, and we had to play blindfolded soccer. You basically remember that we had to go play blindfolded soccer. So basically you have a blindfold on, and then if Mac was on my team, I had to stand beside him and guide him. It was to build trust within your teammates. So you basically balls to the left, go left, kick it there. The Daigle's open, give it to him, hit it hard. Like do you remember playing blindfolded soccer? It was like,
I was just talking to somebody about that the other day about the team building stuff we used to do, because we did it every year just after training camp with that Christian retreat in Toronto and did it. But everybody would be like, shit, we got to do that again. And then you'd get done with it, and everybody enjoyed it. It was a good time. The people that did it did a really good job of it, I think.
Yeah. There was another one we had to do. Basically, I don't know if you remember this one. You had to get like 10 guys, and everybody had to put a foot on the top of this building block, and you all had to figure out a way how to get like 10 guys to stand up at the same time. You'd be 1 foot here, another foot here, arm there. But that was like, we're still talking about it now. So obviously, like you said, it wasn't. I don't know if it wasn't fun. It was just weird. They made you do weird stuff.
Yeah, we had some videos we watched every year on like team building that Perry Pern would bring in at like the time of the year when it wasn't going well. But I think we had a good group of guys, and I think also you had Yashin and Alfie, and we had some real good players that were drafted pretty high as well.
Was it tough to like change the culture a little bit? Like, it's a young and growing team up to that point, and you're trying to take that next step. Is it tough to like get that transition? Because Ottawa's kind of going through that right now with their team, where it's like, you have to play better 200 feet hockey. And how do you build that kind of culture to get things going in the right direction?
I think it's tough. Like, I think it's an attitude. Like I was, I watch the Boston Bruins play now, and I think they've always had a good culture as far as like hardworking, hard-nosed team when they won the Stanley Cup, and they came close a few other times. And I watch them now, and they don't look like the same type of like group of guys where they're hungry to prove that they can be one of the best teams in the league, or just, like, I don't know. I think some of them feel like they've already gotten there. Where I think in Ottawa, like Jock and Perry and Craig Ramsey, especially at the beginning, really promoted being a team and playing a system. And it always the big joke was because we're probably the last team to take private flights. And so every other team was taking their own jet, and we were flying in and out of
we were commercial.
Yeah, we were playing commercials. So the big joke was we're the Sens, not the Pens, and at the time, so
oh god,
so we stayed over
so
a lot.
But you know what? We had so much fun on the road, and like maybe the next day might have had a couple of guys a little hungover. I just remember, I always remember, because some guys would get a middle seat, and Radek Bonk, poor Bonk, he's sitting in a middle seat. It's like 220, 225. And I look back, he's got two people beside him, and they're dying to talk to him, because there's people on the flight are from Ottawa, are flying home, and they know it's Bonky. And Bonky's just looking straight ahead. He won't even glance over, because he knows if he looks, a conversation's going to start. Okay, listen, I want to switch gears here. I got 1996 World Cup team you're on. I'm trying to, kind of what's going on right now. I guess what was the intensity like playing back in that World Cup? Because I'm looking at these rosters. There's some pretty big names, like on Team USA. Some of the guys you were playing with, you got Brian Leach, Mike Medano, Brett Hull, Pat LaFontaine, Keith Tkachuk, Brady and Brady's dad. And then Team Canada had Yzerman, had Gretzky, Lindros, like that. Like, can you draw any comparisons from that 96 World Cup to kind of what you're seeing right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very similar. It's like the continuation of the Canada Cup. And I remember getting picked for that team. I was, so excited to be part of the group. I think Lou Lamoriello was the GM of the team, and I think that was in August that we had training camp and everything else. We played it. We played some teams and like exhibition games. I mean, we had an exhibition game in Philly against Canada and a few other things. But like, then when the tournament started, I just played the one game against Slovakia, I think it was. So I was upstairs watching the game with like Brian Ralston was on the team. I'm trying to think, Sean Chambers, maybe Phil Housley. We were in the stands watching the game. And I remember the game that we beat Canada in Montreal at the Bell Center, and it was like very intense game. I think Tkachuk got kicked out of the game. We were seeing in the locker room, but yeah, guys played hard. And if you go back and look, I saw some video of a couple of shifts in that game the other day, and it was like there was like 5 penalties in 30 seconds because guys were chopping each other and tackling each other. I think if you go back and look like Scott Stevens, and maybe it was Tkachuk going at it, but it was very intense. And it's like I didn't think this would be the same way, and it has been. And I think it's great that the guys are going that hard, especially for the fans.
Yeah. Especially the Tkachuk brothers. I know you went to BU, Brady went to BU, Keith went to BU. Like, what do you think? Like, when you watch Brady play, how much does he remind you of Keith? Like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, because like Keith came in. It's funny. Keith came into BU and he had hurt his ankle. He played at Malden Catholic the year before. Me and Tony Amonte were there, and Joe Sacco had just graduated. Tony Amonte, and Joe played together. I was a center back then, and Joe had moved on to go to Toronto's organization, and Keith came in. I think he was like, I think that summer he had gotten up to like 240. because he had hurt his ankle. He wasn't a big on working out, and he got down to like 214 to play that year. And he had a good year, but he wasn't like, he was a really like hard-nosed player, had some touch, but wasn't like, didn't find the player he'd become. And then after that year, Tony Amonte joined the Rangers, and Keith and I made the Olympic team that in August, and we traveled around and played all around, like, for the national team before we went to the Olympics. And we played NHL teams, AHL teams, played Team Canada a million times. But Keith started fighting. I mean, he was a much better pro player than he was college. Like, his development just shot up. And Bill Guerin was on the team as well. The two of them were like buddies, and they just took off once the pro game started. They went from college to pro, and they just became much better players. And I mean, big guys with great hands, and Keith always could score goals. I mean, he just took off. And Brady did the same thing, Yorkie. I remember when Brady was drafted by Ottawa. And I think I talked to Bruce Garriock, and I said, Bruce, if this kid's the same as his dad, he's going to be unbelievable. Because I know people in Ottawa are upset that they drafted him. And I was like, oh, they don't know what they got here.
Yeah. A lot of it was like, people forget there was a lot of debate over that pick with Ottawa. His numbers weren't great.
No.
But,
he had 8 goals. He had 8 goals in his draft year.
Graham, Montreal passed on him too, didn't they? Yeah. Montreal had a chance.
They took Kotkaniemi.
Oh. Kotkaniemi, Tkachuk, might want to redo on that one. But yeah, it's like hockey people could see it. Like, if it's and that's the art of scouting, right? You hit the nail on the head. Some guys play a great college game, but it doesn't always translate. Even junior, it doesn't always translate into the pro game, right?
No,
I mean, I watched the first game maybe that US played, and I don't get to see Brady play that much anymore, but he had a couple goals, but some of the plays he makes, I mean, going full speed, a guy that big, it's really impressive. I mean, he's a tremendous player, and I think, that's the type of guy you put with a high-end center. He's got to get 40, 50 goals someday.
Yeah. What was he last year? Was he 38 last year?
I can double check for you. Yeah, it was
almost,
high 30s.
Almost. Yeah, it's crazy because they have.
But his shot volume is like always insane. So it feels like if there's ever a season where everything breaks right for him, he's going to get 50. Like, he's just he just generates so much volume.
It's
what year did Keith end up getting 50? Like, what year did Keith end up getting 50? How far in?
Yeah, he had 50 and 200 PIMs too. I remember he's in that select group of players that were the 50-200. Like, people forget. Here's one for you, Mac. Is Keith Tkachuk Hall of Fame player for you?
Yeah, I think so. I think Tony Amonte, Keith Tkachuk, I think the Hall of Fame players, but I'm a BU guy, so I like to see those guys get in. But you look at Keith, like, you look at his early days, look who he played with. I mean, he had Zamnoff and Solani.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those I mean, Zamnoff, you remember him. He was a stud centerman.
Oh,
he was a really good player.
Remember how big Zamnoff's helmet was always, like, on crooked, and he was massive head.
The red
Nobody talks about him. Like, he was a slick player.
Yeah, he was good.
So Keith got 41 in his third season. He only played 17 games in his 91-92 season as a 19-year-old, but then he scored 50 in his fifth season, and then he scored 52.
How far are we in for Brady now?
Oh, he's 25. I think 6 years in.
Oh, he's getting close. Gonna get it soon then for me.
He's Brady.
Seventh year. This is his 7th season.
Yeah. Okay. Brady. So you know the most distinguished Ottawa Senator record, Mac? It's shots on goal in a game. 12 shots. It's been done 4 or 5 times in the history of the Ottawa Senators. Do you know who holds the record?
4 or 5. Yashin's got it.
You do 12 shots. it's
how do you beat Yash?
I don't know. You would think somebody because he freaking shot everything, eh?
Everything. Yeah.
No, Brady's tied at 12 times. He's gonna beat it. Because the thing, Brady's jamming around the net all game long. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
It's like a piñata every time he's hitting the goalie. But yeah, I think he's eventually gonna touch 40 for sure. Oh, might have lost Mac there.
Oh.
Jake, we might have to reset Mac.
For a second.
You're back. What's what hotel? What's on the budget here? What hotel are you at?
Holiday Inn Select, Yorkie. That's a
Only
Suffolk budget.
That
Only
Michigan
the
internet.
best. What time's the first game today?
I was here all day yesterday. The 10 o'clock game today. I'll check that out, and I fly home at 2.
Oh yeah, I thought you were driving. That'd be a long drive. So
Yeah.
what? Obviously, you're gonna watch Thursday night, right? So what are you expecting? Because we were talking about this before. How do you follow that game up? Like, what's your expectations for the finals with Canada US?
I don't know. I hope US has all their players, and I hope Canada. I mean, I want to see everybody out there playing. But I mean, I'm just the speed of the game is insane. Like
Yeah,
it's insane to me to watch these guys. That kid Connor's an 81. Is it 81 for the US?
Kyle
He's
Connor.
playing
Yeah.
like third or fourth line. Like that guy checks and back checks. Like I've never seen speed like that. He just goes. I mean, you got a guy like that as like a checking line guy. It's just amazing to watch and the speed and skill, like the Hughes and Eichel and these guys just have it on a string the whole game. It's really fun to watch, and I'd love to see Makar out there. Like I just like to see the best players out there playing. Hopefully everybody's healthy and we get the Kachuks out there running around as well.
Have you watched Jake Sanderson for Ottawa a lot? He got in the lineup.
I haven't seen him much. No, I haven't seen him much.
What a player, Mac! Like he is.
Yeah.
You want to see a defenseman defend and skate. He's probably, I'd say, one of the best skating defensemen in the league. He's going to be a good one. Got a chance to get in the lineup. I think McAvoy. I don't know if McAvoy is going to be in for Thursday, but this kid, you get a chance, Mac. Watch him play. He is. He's a special player.
Yeah, there's some guys out there that we don't get to see, and I don't get to see that much because I'm watching the Bruins or watching my games or whatever. But I mean, it's just this speed and skill level. I mean, when you retire, you think it's a good game, but it gets better and better every year. These guys are just so good right now.
Yeah, you played with Sullivan, right? U.S.
Mike
coach?
Sullivan.
Yeah,
he was my roommate at Boston University. Yeah,
was he really? And he never ended up.
He played for San Jose, and he played a few other places. Yeah, he played for a while. He was a checking player. Like me and Dave Sacco, Joe's younger brother. So it was me, Dave Sacco, Mike Sullivan, and Matt Pesclewis. We were roommates my sophomore year. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You never come across John Lilly, did you?
John Lilly went into BU after me, and I see John. I used to see him on the road a little bit with. I think he's the head of play personnel for Toronto now.
So I go into Fratelli's about 3 weeks ago. One of my buddies, Gareth Joy, is one of the scouts there too, and there's John Lilly, and I haven't seen him since I was in Anaheim in 95. And his nickname, Dave Sacco, one of the funniest guys ever, had nicknamed him Tiny Elvis. So I see him, and I'm like, Tiny Elvis, the old skit and he's like, how the fuck did you remember that name? He goes, that's 20 years ago. And the whole scouting staff, at the table are just like, and they all start pointing at him, just busted his balls. Oh my.
Yeah, I see Dave Sacco. I see Dave Sacco quite a bit. His son's a good player for a team down here in the NCDC. He's a kind of kid I'm recruiting a little bit, but Dave was a really good player as well.
Sweet hands. Dave had sweet. Joe's brother, for people who don't know, coach of the Bruins. Dave, I actually thought Dave was more talented.
Yeah, Dave wasn't as fast. Joe was Joe could really fly, and Dave was was a good skater, but not like Joe. And Dave had great hands. Joe was kind of more straight ahead player, more physical, more size as well.
I still remember the game. You probably remember this when we were playing Joe Sacco, and he skated straight down at Reds, and Reds turned the wrong way. And while he was turning, Sacco just went right around. He's pretty fast.
Funny.
You got anything else for Matt, Graeme?
No, I just one of the more underrated guys in Senators history. I think your franchise, you're what, ninth in goals, 12th in points. Like,
nice. I'm holding on.
Very, very, very productive 6 seasons that you were here. But yeah,
thank you.
Probably one of the more lopsided trades ever, like Trent McCleary for you. So
was that what it was?
Thanks,
that's what it was. Yeah.
Well, still to this day, one of the worst name lines in Senators, because everybody's got a line name, right? Yashin Dackle McEachern coined the Ministry of Offense That was the name of the line.
There's one of the most underrated players, Yorkie. Andreas Dackel. What a player he
Right?
was. Yeah,
He was
what a
pretty-
player he was. Yeah.
Yeah, you would have liked him, Graeme.
I just remember the
Dackel.
Lindros hit. Like
I just saw that the other day. And you'd be suspended for life today.
For life. How many
It's like
games you got?
240 hitting the guy. Dax was a small guy, but what a player he was. Played both ends of the ice, and great guy as well.
Yeah, awesome guy. That play, I saw the replay because it came up about 2 months ago on the show, and I rewatched. I'm actually skating right beside Lindros, and I can't get him to hold him up because back then you could pick guys. And I see Lindros go, and I'm like, "Look out, Dax! He's coming!"
Yorkie was yelling, "Time! You got time!"
Oh, poor Dax. Oh man. All right, Mac.
Right, guys.
We'll let you go. Thanks for joining us today. That was lots of fun.
All right, guys, take it easy.
Nice, Becky. Take care.
See ya.
Oh,
Like, we gotta get that. You know what? If we can pull that up, Jake, later on in the show, the replay of the Lindros hit on Dackel. To this day, I don't think I've seen a guy get hit harder, his head smashed into the glass like that hit. Like it was crazy, and the damage done after, Dackel's face was a
I think it was like front page of the Ottawa Sun, like whenever the next practice was, and he showed his face. You're just like, oh, it was like Frankenstein. It was just it was nasty. Just nasty. Shawn McEachern, wild.
Yeah,
that's like I'm just you listen to him talk about like the teammates and former teammates that he had just to beat you. I like that's just incredible in itself. Like that must have been a powerhouse of a program back in the early 90s.
He was Mac would be a great player in today's game. So fast, he had tons of speed, good shot. But that for people that remember that World Cup roster, I was just throwing around some of those names. Bill Guerin was on that team. Pat LaFontaine, Doug Waite, Medano, Gary Suter, Brian Leach, Chris Chelios was on that team as well. Like those guys, that 96 World Cup of hockey, those guys were playing they were playing that one from the tips. Like that was
but like nice blend of like young and old guys at the time, right? Like even like Adam Deadmarsh back when he first started his career in Colorado was like he was an unbelievable player before injuries shortened his career. But like that team was stacked. That team was absolutely stacked with talent.
Deadmarsh played so hard. Here's some of the Canadians from that 96. I'll rhyme off some of the names here from that team. There's a lot of nostalgia on this team Canada. You got Rob Blake, Marty Brodeur, Thurin Fleury. You got Gretz, Claude Lemieux was on that team. I think that's when Keith Tkachuk and Claude Lemieux fought too. I'm trying to remember because there's that I've watched it a couple times because ever since they've been showing the Tkachuk brothers fight, they go back and show the dad fighting. I think that's from the if anybody on the chat can chime in, I believe that's from the same from that 96. But yeah, Scott Stevens, Shanahan, Verbeek, Yzerman, yeah, some crazy names in that World Cup.
A lot of talent. Pivoting back to the Four Nations Faceoff, we haven't talked about Nick Mountain-Palo. Obviously, he had a chance to play last night. It was a -3. I didn't think he played that poorly though.
Oh, that's the worst statistic in hockey. You're an analytics guy. Like plus minus can be so skewed. Sure, it tells a tiny bit of the story, but anybody that watched the game, and I'm sure everybody did, Matt Pello played, I think, just over 11 minutes. I got the exact number right here. Yeah, here it is right here. Played 11:43, -3. So if you're just looking at the stats and you're lazy, he didn't play very well. He was -3. I actually thought he played pretty well. And if you look as far as physicality, like he was playing hard against Team Canada. He had one stat I do like is hits. He had 5 hits in that game. He led not only Finland, both teams. You get 5 hits and 11 minutes ice, you're playing pretty physical. Like there's not that many opportunities because Canada is so fast. So I like the fact he was physical. And if you go back to that goal, you and I went over it. It was McDavid's goal. He actually played. Graham, he played that. He played that really well.
Yep.
I forget who his D partner was. Somebody throws a pizza right up the middle, right on McDavid's stick. You then, if you're Matt and Powell, you got to gap up on the fastest player in the world, which I thought he did a nice job. Made himself big, took away a lot of space, did everything he could, and it was just
forces
nice
him wide. McDavid peels back towards the blue line, and then Granlund looks like he's going to come support the play, and then he peels off, and McDavid just took the space and wires one. Like, what do you do? Like, he played it perfectly, and it's still just.
Yeah. I firmly believe Matt and Powell is going to take a lot of the playing against some of the best players in the world, practicing with a really good, like he's practicing with some great players day in and day out. I just know, I'll give you a great example. When I was playing in the NHL and I'd go up and down my first couple of years in Detroit, I'd get called up for a couple games and you're playing with Yzerman, you're playing with Fedorov. And then I'd go down to the minors. The game, Graeme, would slow down for me and I would be down and I'm like, I got all kinds of time with the puck. Like this confidence you develop from playing with really good players. I really believe Matt and Paolo is going to take that back with him because the speed in that Canada game he played in was ridiculous. Like that was, you're playing against, like he's never ever played anything to that close. Hey, this shift I'm playing against McDavid. Oh, here comes McKinnon. Oh, now it's McDavid and McKinnon. Oh, here's Crosby. So I think, boy, they're going to have a hard time keeping him out of the lineup with that size and now some experience and some confidence in his back pocket. We got to take a quick look at this. Jake was able to grab the clip of the Dackel hit with Lindros. Let's take a quick look at this because it's so crazy. Because if you watching this now, I agree with Shawn McEachern. You're getting at least 30 or 40 games for this. When's the last time you seen this hit?
Ooh, probably a couple of years ago. Probably at least 2, 3, 4 years ago, at least.
Back from Red and puck in the. Dackel sees him. Here comes Lindros.
Oh.
And Lindros just crunches him into the boards.
Those old boards, like they did not move at all. They were unforgiving.
Let's listen to this.
Did you note the position of the elbow and the paces after the puck had already been delivered?
You can just see me like on that last shot, the very far picture, Graeme. I'm like back and I'm watching Lindros and I'm like, oh boy, this isn't going to be good. But
did you see the end of that clip where it just went to Montreal and Boston? Trent McCleary was in that clip for Montreal. So the episode is coming full circle. It's coming full circle. Straight from McEachern.
It's coming full circle. But anyhow, that's a crazy hit. But no, like just back to Matt and Paolo. And speaking of being physical and laying big hits, that's just something that this lineup really needs. Like you need. Like I just think if he continues to play that way, it's going to be a nice. I just think it's exactly what Ottawa needs, Graeme. I don't know about you.
Do you think we've talked extensively about like Brady Tkachuk benefiting from this tournament, taking all the lessons of playing like competitive hockey for the first time in his career against NHL players, and benefiting, taking that towards the playoff stretch. But do you think of all the players that traveled for this Four Nations face-off that Matt and Powell is the one who has the most to gain from it?
Just like, well, I think from a personal level, yes. I think as far as where his game can grow, because everything's kind of happened. A lot has happened to him in the last little while. He got called up, got an opportunity to play. Then the break comes. Probably the worst thing for him would have been to be a 2-week, whatever this break is, 2 weeks of not playing. So I think, to answer your question, he's got the most to gain personally as far as where his game can go. But I will say, as from a Sens angle, who this is going to benefit the most is Linus Ullmark. I just think this is going to be perfect for him. Got to play a little bit because the worst thing was he just was kind of getting back into it. And can you imagine if he just had to go on break now and not play? Mm-hmm. And then have to come back and get yourself back in the game shape? It's another probably 2 weeks until you're playing in real situations. So I think this is going to be really good for Ullmark. Again, facing good shooters every day in practice. playing in this intensity and just getting back into the swing of things as far as your game day routine goes. So, huge.
Sure.
I was a little bit pessimistic about him going until his injury lingered on, but then I thought, you know what, this is going to be the best for him because he's going to play himself back into shape, but more so in practice because he'd be seeing a ton of practice volume. But I know he was sick. I think it was just a
last minute scratch. Yeah, last minute scratch before the game, and I hope he doesn't bring that Swedish flu with him back to Ottawa.
the bird flu, and so. Yeah, he'll be fine. But as far as Sanderson goes, for sure, this is great for him too, especially him getting into a game. And I was thinking about this too. In a game where it's winner takes all, and you look at, I know US's blue line is really, really good. I would be tempted to keep him in the lineup based on the style of hockey he plays compared to what's already on your blue line. Mm-hmm. You and I were talking about this before the show, Graeme. It's a pretty interesting discussion for Team USA because the way he defends compared to some of the other options they have in their lineup. If it was me, I know I'm biased, but I'd have him playing.
Oh, I don't disagree with you. I think you could open that conversation, but he was one of those late additions, right? So I don't know. I think contextually, he can't play if everyone is healthy.
No, he was. Oh shit, you're right. Yeah. He wasn't originally named to the team. He came in as an injury replacement, right?
But I think you're bang on. I think you could open the conversation. I know you like Noah Hannafin. I know you got Werenski and Slavin there, but Sanderson can't play as offside. So if you want to have the conversation of who could come out and make room for him, I think you definitely entertain the conversation that he's deserving of playing.
Well, look at their blue line. So Adam Fox is a number one power play specialist on pretty well every team on the league except for Team USA. You're not he got Werenski back there, so he's going to be your guy. Faber is a pretty good guy. I just think for me, and I really like Fox as a player, right shot D. I think Sanderson just defends better, especially against high end talent like Canada has, like McDavid, like McKinnon. I just think he's if you could, and I think you're right. I don't think they can put him in because he's late edition. But if you're able to do, I would put him in ahead of Fox, just as the way he defends. I just like Hannafin because he's big and he's long and he defends really well. And there's enough offensive guys back. Imagine putting Sanderson in a pairing with McAvoy. How tough that would be to play against. Two great skating D that can defend. It'd be tough to play against.
No, absolutely. Well, you want to get into these promo reads before passing it off to old Wallace?
Yeah. Let's do BEI. As always, big thanks to our good friends at BEI. Always helping to shape the Ottawa Valley. Hit them up for some equipment rentals, aggregate topsoil sales, as well as custom crushing and screening, hot mix paving. They can do it all for you. So when you're planning your next project, please consider BEI for all your aggregate supply needs. Hit them up at BunisherExcavating.com or give them a call at 613-432-1120.
And coming in hot is proudly presented by presenting partner Bet365. Open an account today with Bet365 and bet on a huge range of markets. Use the code NATION. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. You must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly. Ontario only. Download the app today.
Graeme?
Yes, sir.
As I'm feeling a little bit generous today, I think I've got a couple giveaways here.
Nice.
So, yeah, let's do, because I know we have a nice little thing we're going to show on some artwork and some stuff done for the PWHL. Let's do a Gabriel $50 gift certificate. So all you have to do, email cihsends@gmail.com. Email us and say you'd like that Gabe $50 gift certificate and say why you deserve it. And if you can convince Eric, because he's going to be the one answering the email, if you can convince him why you need that pizza, well, you'll get it. So put forward your best reasoning for wanting that $50 Gabe's gift certificate.
So this week, fans can actually check out a Royale commission sculpture. at the TD place at Lansdowne before the games against Boston on Thursday and Montreal on Saturday. There was a sculpture commissioned by Royale. It was designed by renowned Canadian artist Briony Douglas. And essentially it is a giant, massive sculpture made out of hockey sticks, I believe, from the first season of the PWHL. And it's in the shape of a goalie mask, and fans can check that out. And Brent Wallace has done a recorded interview with Briony, and you can check it out right now.
Happy to be joined now by Briony Douglas, who, by the way, you'll get a chance to meet this weekend down at TD Place starting Thursday to Sunday. She is an artist who's made an amazing sculpture. Briony, welcome to the show. Happy to have you. I can't wait to talk about this.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and chat about this.
Okay, so for those who don't know, we're going to show a picture of it right now. You have made, I thought was, when they told me, a goalie mask. I'm like, oh, cool. This is the ginormous, like this is a car.
I like to go big.
Yeah. How did you come up with this? And secondly, how big is this thing?
So this was about 6 feet long. And the reason I would have gone even bigger, but we had a certain amount of hockey sticks, and I had to do the math and figure out how many we could actually fit into that size.
All right. So for those who don't know, it's all made of PWHL hockey sticks. Can you tell us the story behind the sticks?
Absolutely. So I think this is probably the most special piece I've ever made. And I'm very lucky to have made a lot of cool pieces. But what's so special about this is every single stick on this sculpture is from a player in the PWHL. So all 6 inaugural teams donated about 10 or 20 sticks each. And then from there, we just kind of went to town.
It's probably worth like $17 million in sticks.
You know, there's a lot of people commenting that. But, you know, it lives forever.
It's amazing. All right. So I don't know how you design something like this. You're an artist, so my head is completely wired to yours. I'm too OCD. How do you come up with this?
I'm very lucky that I'm at a point in my career now where a brand or someone will come to me and say, hey, here's what we're doing. What thoughts do you have? So usually I draw something bananas out and then it gets approval. And then I sit there and I'm like, oh, shoot, how do you actually make that? This was a fun one. I've never cut sticks like this before. It was an interesting learning curve, but a lot of fun.
All right. So were you a hockey fan before?
Yes. So I have been a hockey fan since I was little. Some of my biggest memories are with my dad telling us to keep it down because the hockey game is on, which is kind of funny. But, you know, we grew up Leafs fans, Felix Poppin. I remember like having his jersey and not as much as I used to be, but very much back into it with the PWHL now.
That's pretty cool. Did you ever play?
No, I play a lot of sports. I'm not that coordinated.
All right. Is this the first crossover you've had with like a sports organization?
No. I'm very lucky to have worked a lot with a lot of different organizations. MLSE was actually one of the first brands and organizations to hire me as an artist, probably like 7 years ago. So it's very cool. Lots in the Formula One world too, which we love.
Yes, there. By the way, if you're looking at her Instagram account, there's an F1 car that's stunning. Anyway, we'll move on before I get carried away. Can you walk us through the creative process of how you come up with the conceptualization of, and this is called, by the way, the piece is the Inaugural Six, which you've kind of alluded to, being that it was the first season, and how much input collaboration did you have with Royale and the PWHL?
Honestly, Royale was an absolute dream to work with. They are one of the main sponsors of the league. And, you know, often when you're making art with brands, there's like a fine line and a little bit of a dance of how much logos are going on the art. Yeah. They really were like, let's highlight these women. Let's highlight the path that they've gone on to get to where they are today. And like, it was a dream. They were very open to my ideas. And just great to work with.
Are you discussing more PWHL artwork?
I mean, that would be great. I'm like subconsciously keep pushing out on my socials that it should live in the Hockey Hall of Fame because like it's the Inaugural Six. Like, so, I mean, that would be a dream come true.
Yeah. And I don't think you said it. I've read it and that's why I'm curious. Every stick has a player's name on it.
Yeah. So they all, every single stick has one of their names on it, which is like really special and cool. And then the few players that I did meet as we were touring with the sculpture actually came up and found their stick. I will say one thing that I didn't realize is how differently like everyone wraps their tape with around their stick. And so like they were able to decipher what was what, which was pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? So they were just like, oh, I could tell by the tape job it's my stick.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
And the goalie, the Victoire goalie, she was so lovely, and she was so impressed that we picked that specific cage for it. So I got the goalie's approval, so that's cool.
Yeah, it's always neat when you do something for people and they can appreciate what it is, and so it is an amazing piece of work. How do you transport that thing?
It's actually quite light. So as you know, hockey sticks are super light. What was the heavier part is we essentially do you remember those dinosaurs that were like 3D wood puzzles that we just kind of slat together when we were younger? Yes. We essentially did that, but with the goalie mask, and then stuck the sticks onto it.
Cool. It is cool. It'll be on display at TD Place this weekend, Thursday and Saturday, the PWHL, the Charge play. You will be there?
I will not be there for this one. I'm actually heading down to Vancouver to photograph the Terry Fox family. So also very exciting.
Wow. That's pretty cool. It will be on display though. People can show up, take pictures. It still has to be neat. I know you're an artist, and so you're used to having your stuff on display, but when people come and start taking pictures and love being around your work.
Well, there's nothing like that feeling, especially with little kids. And I'm sure you've been to a PWHL game now. But there's so many little girls that are like, I'm going to play in this one day. And then you see them going up and looking at the sticks. And I just don't think there's anything more pure and inspiring and exciting than that. And yeah, it's pretty cool. I'll never get used to it. It's very neat.
That's great. Briony Douglas, we appreciate your time. Great job on the mask and the other stuff you've done. I look forward to seeing your work some more. What would be your goal, by the way? To have a piece in the Louvre? Look, what's the goal?
I don't know about the Louvre. I just for me, making art is really, at the end of the day, just to make people happy. A lot of my stuff is nostalgic, a lot of bright colors. So it's not necessarily Louvre. It's making art accessible to everybody, right? So, yeah.
I draw stickmen. That's about as far as it gets for me. So,
hey, stickmen are great.
I appreciate your work. We'll chat soon. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
That's a pretty cool sculpture. I don't know about you, Yorkie. I get a little triggered seeing oversized equipment, though. It's something for about the 2007 JS Jaguar Stanley Cup final appearance. I just can't see big goaltenders' gear. It just drives me.
I always think of Garth Snow with the big shoulder pads, look like Frankenstein in there. Yeah, that was an interesting era of goaltending. Just make them as big as you can with the equipment. When I played junior, my first year in Hamilton, our goalie, this is another Bill LaForge story. They had, Spider-Man has the webbing underneath his armpits.
Mm.
They put that on our goalie's jersey, a little bit of extra stuff there, anything to get a little bit of an edge. Different times.
Speaking of goaltenders, I don't know if you want to close with it, but Jordan Binnington played a third consecutive game for Canada at the Nations. Canada's kind of painted themselves into a corner here, right? They can't. Were you nervous at all? 4-0 lead, late in the third period, 3 quick goals.
Yeah, I don't know if nervous was I nervous? No. Did I think they should have played somebody else? I probably would have went to somebody else in game 2 because I didn't love. It just seems there's been a trend in all the games where he's let in a couple questionable ones. But hey, I thought I played pretty well yesterday. He made some key stops at some key moments. So that's the thing. When you're the coach and I know they're doing that as a whole staff, they get together and decide. You're putting yourself out there on any choice you make is going to be criticized. But I don't know. Was it his fault on those 3 bang bang goals that were scored at the end? I think the one again. Yeah, the one from the sharp angle on that far side that started the whole rally. That one perfectly placed shot, but you'd like that one back. But man, I thought he was pretty good besides that in that game. Like there were some key moments where he made some good saves.
Yeah, I just feel like if Canada loses, he's going to be the guy that everyone's like,
you think so?
Oh, 100%. It's
yeah.
Just
well,
the weakest link. He's the weakest link on the team, right? And that's just the way it works with analysis. So
yeah, I did like the new lines though. I was juggling around. I always do this when I watch games. I'll juggle. What would I try? And I thought, who can you get to play with Connor that can? Nobody's as quick as him, but they can play at that speed level. Braden Point, like that was a cagey move. Like Marner's been pretty good, but I find Marner a change of pace player. Everything's kind of slow it down. He's shifty. I just don't find him a good fit to play with McDavid. Where Point, man, it worked so well. So
it's true. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I just find with like Marner, he needs the puck on his stick to be effective.
Yeah.
In the offensive zone, whereas and McDavid's almost the same way. Like you need those guys with the puck on their stick as often as possible to have success. And it's just if you got to, I think you have to spread those kind of guys out throughout the lineup, and it paid dividends yesterday. Yeah. So
well, it'll be a good one. There'll be a good one Thursday. I can't wait.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. And the Senators practice. They have a practice today. So I'm excited for that. It's at 2 p.m. at the CTC, so I'll get to go to that hopefully, and then have some more to report later this week.
All right. Sounds good. So we'll see everybody on Thursday.
Thanks for tuning in to Coming In Hot. If you enjoyed the show, hit that like button and be sure to subscribe to never miss an episode.